Welcome to TWIN BUSCH Germany, your competent specialist since 1997 in professional vehicle workshop equipment. With a corporate headquarters in Germany and 9 other branches in 7 countries, as well as over 40 sales partners worldwide, we are one of the leading manufacturers of vehicle lifts, tire balancers, and tire mounting machines. Hello, I'm Tweenie. In this video we'll show you how to assemble the clear floor profiline lifts from TWIN BUSCH. Welcome to the test area from TWIN BUSCH. Your TWIN BUSCH lift is delivered in different packages. Here is the main packet with the bottom part of the posts. Also you will find the motor unit, the motor cover, the post extensions, and the crossbeams for connecting the 2 posts. You will also need 10 liters of hydraulic oil. Before beginning the assembly process, you should consider the position in which you will be placing your TWIN BUSCH lift. First, you will want to decide where you would like to position the main column that houses the control and motor unit. Keep in mind, the position in which you place this column is where you will be operating your lift. On this side, you will need some space for operation. Also from this side, you have the electrical connection, which if possible, is better from above. The positioning of the main column and secondary column play no role in which direction the vehicle may be driven onto the lift. This is determined by adjusting the position of the long and short carrier arms. You can change the position of the carrier arms when needed, to change the direction at which the vehicle may be driven on the lift. It's important to leave enough space at the front and back of the lift. First, let's open the motor unit package. Here you will find the manual for your lift. Please read the manual before you start the assembly. Be sure to check all nuts and bolts during assembly that they are tightly fastened. Now we can remove the outer packing. Remove the hose protectors. Next, remove the pole for the limit switch, then the lifting arms. Between the posts you will find the packet with small parts. To remove the posts we use an engine crane. We now slightly lift the post and use a block of wood to protect the post underneath. Let down the lower post onto the wooden block. The transport frame should no longer touch the floor. The upper post should be slightly under tension when removing the transport frame. Be careful to remove the middle bolts first, as there is a danger of trapping when removing the upper bolts. Now remove the upper bolts. After removing all the bolts, you can now remove the frame. Now you can loosen the upper post at the back and stand it where it will be later needed. The upper post is also the main post where you later fix the motor unit electric cables. Depending on which side you will be driving onto the lift, place the main post to the left, which is normally the driver's side. When in position, we let down the post. Now remove the control box and the other lifting arms from the bottom post. This post is also known as the assistant post. Before removing the arm, remove the hydraulic hose and place it safely aside. Check that all the small parts are complete. The important bags are marked with their usage. Let's have a look at the control box. The wires for the electromagnets and limit switch can be found here. The screws for the control box can be found in the control box. Here you can see the bag with the limit switch and wires for the electromagnets. Open the control box and remove the needed screws. When mounting the control box, it is recommended to mount the lid on the side as not to damage the wires. In the next step we connect the two post extensions. We now open the package with the two extensions. For this step we need 8 bolts with 2 washers, a spring washer and a nut. Place one of the extensions on the post. Connect the post with the extension using the 4 bolts. Tighten the nut slightly. The nuts should be tightened when the post is standing. Now remove the transport frame from the assistant post. To do this we use the crane again. When you have removed the frame, you can now mount the extension. Repeat the process of the main post. When both parts of the assistant post are mounted, you can now fit the hydraulic hose through the protector. Now you can remove the steel cables from the bottom part of the post. The cable can now be placed loosely through the post. Now we can lay the cable for the Y connection to the electromagnets. Both connectors can now be placed through the holes at the bottom of the posts laid upwards with the hydraulic hose. When hydraulic hose, steel cables and magnet wires are positioned, you can now fit the protective covers. First screw in the screws for the covers. Now you can fit the upper covers. The bottom should be fitted later as you need to move the carriage. These covers should be fitted last. Let's go back to the main post. Here you also need to mount the steel cables. Lay the steel cable as shown in the assistant side. Now we look at the hydraulic hose. This time the hose only goes a short way up to the hole in the post. Now let's fit the limit switch. You must separate the short cable from the long limit switch cable. You must prepare the limit switch with the short cable. Loosen the arm on the limit switch and extend it a halfway out. Don't forget to tighten it again. Remove the screws at the back and fix the limit switch to the holes in the post. You can find the holes where the extensions are fitted. Fit the limit switch so that the arm is slanted like in the picture. The limit switch is mounted on a slant. Let's make room to fit the crossbeam. The crossbeam is delivered in 2 parts in one packet. The 2 parts are connected with 5 screws. Connect the beams and place wooden blocks underneath so it can easily be tightened. The parts are fixed with 5 screws and spring washers and nuts. Tighten the middle screws first so that the parts fit straight together. Afterwards you can completely tighten one side. And then the other side. Now mount the pole for the upper limit switch. For this you need a bolt, washer and a cotter pin. The bolt is fitted from the bottom on the left in the ready-made hole and fixed with the pin. We now have to turn the beam as the straight fitted bolt belongs on the assistant side. On the underneath of the cross beam you will find the bracket to fix the limit switch. The limit switch pole should be fitted to these brackets. You will also need the washer and cotter pin to fix this. Thread the wire for the limit switch through the main side of T-cross beam and then fit the limit switch. Remove the screws and fit the limit switch as shown underneath the pole. You can now turn the crossbeam around and hide the limit switch wire. A few words about the next steps. Ideally, you can use the crossbeam as a guide for the distance between the two posts. For this, place the posts in position starting with the main post. To avoid the risk of falling, the post should be fixed as soon as possible. Now you can put the assistant post into position. Before you fix the assistant side, you can mount the crossbeam and tighten all screws. Please take care that the post cannot fall. Before you fix the assistant post, check once more that everything is level and straight. You will need help to position the posts. 3 people should be enough. Because we already have the stud bolts fitted in our example, we will now show you how to drill and fix the stud bolts. Here we show an example of how to drill and fix the stud bolts. Be careful to drill the right size and depth, and the right concrete thickness. If the stud bolts are not fixed correctly, or if the concrete does not conform to the technical requirements, this could affect the stability of the lift. The exact technical requirements can be found in the instruction manual. To fix the stud bolts, you do not have to move the lift. Drill vertically and take care of the depth. Be sure to remove all dust and debris from the drill hole. Drive in the stud bolt carefully and vertically using a sledgehammer. Before tightening the nuts, check your columns to make sure they are correctly aligned and level. If necessary, you can level the posts with the delivered spacers. When the posts are level, tighten the nuts with a torque wrench to 120 Nm. After fixing the main post, we should now adjust and fix the assistant post. In our case, we position the post directly on the stud bolts. If the stud bolts are not already fitted, you can use the crossbeam as a guide and fit the stud bolts later. This is how to use the crossbeam to get the perfect distance. Please take care that the posts cannot fall until they are securely fixed. You will need a device to help lift the crossbeam. If you have no lift, then you can also carefully lift the crossbeam using ladders. To fix the crossbeam, you will need the 4 bolts, nuts and washers. Additionally to the lift, you will need 2 ladders. Now you can fix the crossbeam. Let's start with the main post. When the main post is fixed, we can then do the other side. Now you can tighten all bolts on the extensions. Start with the 4 bolts on the assistant side so that the extensions stay straight. After this, tighten the inside bolts. Repeat these steps for the other side. Before you finally fix the assistant side, check once more that all is level and straight. Both posts must be level and straight. Don't forget to check with the string if the posts are straight. Here we use string to check the posts. Now you can fix the posts. A few words to cable tension. With the clear floor lift you will find, just like the other models, 3 pulleys for each steel cable. The steel cable at the back is connected to the right-hand side carriage and runs upwards over the 2 pulleys to the left-hand side. There, it then runs over the bottom pulley and is fixed to the left carriage. The second steel cable is fitted in the same manner from the left-hand carriage over the front pulleys to the right-hand carriage. The steel cables form a circuit which forces the carriages to be synchronized. Now we can fit the hydraulic hose and wire for the electromagnet. First we fit the electromagnet wire. Then the hydraulic hose. And finally the steel cable. Take care that the cable is laid correctly. The cable should be fitted from the carriage upwards to the crossbeam over the steel pulley. To fit the cable over the pulley, turn the flat edge to the side. The other steel cable should be fitted in the exact same manner. Now you can lay the hydraulic hose, wire and steel cable in the inside of T-post. Wires and steel cable should be put through the protection plate. Let's take a look at the hydraulic hose. As soon as the wire and hydraulic hose are fitted, the steel cable can be lowered through the post. Now you can connect the short and long wire to the limit switch again. Connect the bottom and top hydraulic hoses. Remove the protective caps. Remove the nut from the T-connector. Fit the upper hose to the T-connector. Now place the T-connector through the post and fix with the nut. Using a wrench you can now fix the T connector. Finally, tighten the nut on the T connection. Take care that the hose is laid straight. Now we can look at the electromagnets. The 4 magnets are all fitted in the same manner. First, screw the magnet to the post. Then fit the inside plate and fix with the small bracket. Repeat this process for the other 3 magnets. When the magnets are all fitted, we can now look at the motor unit. First, you need to fit the bracket for the motor unit. The upper bracket is fixed with 1 screw. Then mount the left and right hand side brackets. Let's just go back to the wiring. Here we can see the wire for the magnets on the main post. Place the middle connector through the bottom hole in the post. And the long wire in the upper hole. You can now connect the wires. Let's take a look at the motor unit. Remove the motor unit from the box and loosely fit the screws. With every screw, you have a spacer and washer. These are fitted in the long holes. Tighten the screws from the inside using the nuts and washers. When both screws are in position, you can now hang the motor unit on the post. Take care that the spacer stays in position. Now fit the 2 top screws. Also taking care that the spacer stays in position. Tighten all the 4 screws. Let's fit the oil hose between the motor unit and the T connection. Remove the protective cap from the motor unit. Then fit a short oil hose to the motor unit. The other side is fitted to the T connector. You will need 2 wrenches to do this. Hold the hose in position and tighten with the other wrench. The hose should point directly down. Repeat this step for the motor unit. Now let's fit the control box. First, thread the wires through the inside of the post. Be sure that the wires are not under tension. To mount the control box, screw in the screws a few threads. Then hang the control box on the screws. Tighten the screws to the control box. Now we can start to fit the wires to the control box. Thread the wires through the inside of the control box. Please note, the following electrical installation should only be done by a qualified electrician. Let's start with the low voltage connections. Connect the wires according to their letters. Connect the two wires B together for the electromagnets. Repeat this for the A limit switch and C release valve wires. Now we can connect the hydraulic pump. Let's start with the earth wire. Now we can connect the motor. Please use a manual as a reference. When all wires are connected, you can close the control box. In order to protect the hoses and wires, fit the protection brackets inside the posts. Turn in the screws a few threads and hang the brackets on the screws. Please take care not to trap any wires or hoses when tightening the brackets. You will need 4 protective covers for the main post with 8 screws, and 3 protective covers for the assistant side. Please note, you should fit the bottom covers later as you need space to work on the hose. Here you can see the 3 covers already mounted. Repeat these steps with the assistant side. Now we can fit the magnet covers. Use the same process as the hose brackets. Put in the screws. Mount the covers and tighten the screws. Now we can mount the steel cables and the lifting arms. But first let's fit the bracket for the arm extensions. There is one for each side. Let's now fit the rubber door protectors. These are simply fixed with screws. To mount the steel cables, you should lift the carriage to the first safety catch. Remove the nuts from the cable threads. Pull the cable upwards through the carriage and remove the nuts. Here is the other side. Now that the cables are in position, we can thread the other side of the cable into the carriage. You will also need to remove the nuts. Thread the cable ends into the holes in the carriage and push them downwards. Then you can refit the nuts and tighten them. After this you can refit the other end of the cable in the carriage. Refit the nuts and tighten. Use if possible a long socket to tighten the nuts. Repeat this process for the second steel cable. Prepare yourself 2 bolts as we will now mount the lifting arms. You can use a nut to hold the safety catch in position while you mount the lifting arm. Mount the arm and push your prepared bolt through the holes. Don't forget that there is a short and long arm for each side. The short arm should be on the side of the heaviest part of the car. This is usually the front of the car where the motor is. Don't forget to remove the nut. Because we want to drive forwards on the lift, we fit a short arm at the front. Finally, we can fit the safety ring on the arm bolt. We can now fit the lifting pads. Watch out for the flat side of the plate. Now we can fit the foot protection bars. Please take care to fit them the right way around. The screws should point upwards. Here is the short arm. Let's look at how to fill the tank with oil. You will need 10 liters of hydraulic oil. Remove the electromagnet coil to access the tank. You can also check the emergency release valve if it is closed. If it should be open, you can close it by pushing it in and turning right. Fill the tank with 10 liters of oil. Now refit the oil tank cap. Don't forget to refit the electromagnet. Now you can connect the electric and do the first test. Turn on the main switch and press the up button. It might take a little longer until the oil fills the cylinders before the lift moves. Check that the hydraulic cylinders sit in the middle. The cylinder should sit in the hole in the post foot. If this is not the case, let the lift back down and put the cylinder in the correct position. When the lift is in the upper position, you can now fit the remaining hose protectors. Mounting the lower protectors is a little different from the others. Fit the bottom screws. Mount the protection cover. Fit the top screws first and then the others. Tighten all the screws. Finally, mount the motor unit cover and the post guards. Let's start with the post guards. The post guards are fixed at the top and bottom of the posts. Unroll the guard and push it through the slit in the carriage. Take care to go through the slit and not through the back of the carriage, as this will damage the guard. The guard is fixed with 2 screws at the bottom. At the top you have 2 hooks, which are used to stretch the cover and hold it in position. Now we have reached the last step of our assembly. Let's mount the motor cover. The motor cover is fixed with the delivered screws to the brackets. We are now finished with the assembly of your new twin bush lift. Afterwards we will show you how to adjust the cable tension. The cable tension is necessary for synchronizing both carriages. Use 2 24mm wrenches to loosen the nuts. We use a tire lever to tension the cables. Start with the post opposite the motor side. This side usually just needs to be adjusted once to get your base tension. All further adjustments are now made exclusively on the main post. Since the leveling cables are connected to one another, tensioning the main side now automatically leads to tensioning on the opposite side. Raise your lift upwards and pay attention to the clacking sound of the safety locks. The side with the hydraulic pump should click first, then the opposite side. The reason for this is that the main side has the shortest path to the hydraulic unit. The opposite side is forced to be synchronized by the steel cables. Remember, before adjusting the tension, lower the slides to the next locking position, using the lock button on the control box. When the locks click at the same time, the optimum cable tension has been achieved. Now take the wrench again, and lock the upper nuts on both sides. This completes the adjustment of the steel cable tensioning process. Be sure to tighten all nuts, bolts and hydraulic hose fittings before working on your lift. We wish you a great time with your twin bush lift. Enjoy, and thank you for choosing Twin Bush.